welcome to Horror Madness with Dana and Deb. Oh my god, I said that backwards. It's Deb and Dana. That's the first time I've ever done that backwards by accident.
I mean, it doesn't matter whose name is first, does it?
Yeah, you go first. You're the face of TikTok in the world. Like, everyone on TikTok only loves Deb.
That's not true.
Anyway, tonight we're talking about OG, original Hellraiser, number 1, not the remake, not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many horrible Hellraisers there are.
Released in 1987, written and directed by Clive Barker in his directorial debut.
Bro.
It is starring Doug Bradley, Ashley Lawrence, Claire Higgins, Andrew Robinson, and Sean Chapman, but not their voices.
Isn't it just the only person's voice is not their voice is Frank?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just Frank.
I thought they dubbed more than his.
No, I think it's just Frank.
Oh, okay.
So, nowhere in this movie, apart from one dude at the very end with a New York hat on, is anything specified where this takes place. And also, I'm pretty sure there's dudes in London with New York hats on just because, like, especially at the time, like, just for a fashion statement, half the people have British accents. Half the people have American accents. The house is the most British house I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not sure what would make anyone think that this movie took place in America other than a bunch of people not having British accents, but like most of them do. It was filmed in England. Clive Barker's British, you know.
So when we were watching it in the theater last night,
I guess. We didn't even say that. We went to the Fathom event, 2-night Hellraiser. There were like 5 people there, but it was pretty damn cool getting to watch Hellraiser on the big screen.
It was. So originally, I had wanted to go see Companion and do like a new movie, and then we found out Hellraiser was in the theater, so I was like, well, we're going to do Hellraiser.
Yeah, so, like, I'm kind of sketchy on new movies because, like, we've got, like, 5 friends that listen.
Yeah.
And, like, all we can do is spoil it for friends that we mostly know probably didn't see it yet. So, like, it just seems pointless to try to do new movies at this point. Also, plans. So we tried real hard to not just do movies in order. I don't think that's possible. I think maybe 2 years from now we'll figure out a way to do that.
Yeah.
Over it. You gotta do movies in order to be able to talk about them with no audience. If there was people interacting and asking questions and like we could do like real lives.
And
maybe,
hopefully we get to that point. I mean,
that's our goal is to get to that point. But right now, with like 2 or 3 friends that watch and listen, that ain't happening.
So yeah, we had a big change of plans, and we were not at all really prepared to do Hellraiser, and I kind of dropped it on Dana.
Yeah, I was. We weren't sure what we were going to try to do this week. And then Deb was just like, you want to go see Hellraiser tomorrow? And I was like, yes. And then she was like, so we're going to do a podcast on it? And I was like, well, that's another giant movie with just like infinite amount of things to talk about.
Yeah. So we'll probably have to redo it in the future.
No, and that's why I'm totally for doing big movies right now, is that if we ever get a large audience, like all these original podcasts.
Oh, they'll go bye-bye.
Yeah, they won't exist anymore, and we'll just redo them. Or they will on our Patreon when there's somebody that wants to pay us to do this one day will be like, $15. You can hear all the OG episodes. What you got? $20? We'll give you unedited.
Oh, God. I mean, if people are watching on live, they get the unedited version every time.
You know,
Every time.
Our three friends.
So this movie is scored by Christopher Young.
Is it scored?
I was going to say, I say that with a laugh.
Scored with air quotes. So it was originally scored by the band Coil. And I've heard the score back in the LimeWire days, and they were very nice. I don't hate Coil. Coil's fine. Coil's, like, not one of my favorite bands, but, like, I dig them. You know, they're good. They're fine. Oh, she got her Scares That Cares mug going on with her blue milk in it.
Yes, blue milk.
What was I saying?
Coil soundtrack.
Oh, Coil. Yeah, they're all right. Their soundtrack sucks and was terrible and wasn't used for this movie. But now they're like super nice and they're just like, oh, the production company said we couldn't use it. We had to have a regular score. No, it was bad. It wasn't that great. It just wasn't very good is really why. But, you know, that's cool.
We always start out talking about the music in movies, and there is a kind of a lacking of it.
Yeah, so, truth be told, I play Pokemon Go a lot, and I have an auto catcher. So, like, I don't leave my house often enough to, like, you know, always be banging on Pokemon Go. So when we do leave my house, when we do leave our house, I turn my auto catcher on. So the auto catcher is constantly vibrating. So we're at a fucking movie and my pocket is just going crazy. And I'm looking at the people like, no one was like, one side was like 2 chairs to the next person and the other side was a really cool couple that we talked to for a minute. Don't know their names. Didn't get to give them our card. I meant to.
I did too.
Yeah. Everybody was really cool, and their cell phones were just, like, not on silent and going off the whole movie. But, you know, whatever. So, and I was just like, if there's any sound, no one can hear my pocket vibrating. So the first, like, good 20 minutes of this movie, I'm just like, I don't know who's vibrating. Are you vibrating? I'm not vibrating. There's no sound. Like, oh, they're talking. They're talking for a second. No one heard it for that one. The beginning of this movie is so overboard silent. It is silent. There is no music. There is no score. There is nothing covering up the sound of a Pokemon Go auto catcher, period. It's just like, go fuck yourself. You're fucking ruining this movie for everyone with your Pokemon Go catcher.
Yeah, it was real quiet.
Yeah, it's a good bit into the movie before the score kicks in.
I think
and then even once the score kicks in, it just keeps stopping. And it just stops for like 10 minutes at a damn time. And it's just like, yeah, there ain't no sound.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like, the score is used to build tension, to set moods, to let you know when you're going into a flashback sequence.
Oh, we're not there. We're not quite there.
Anything. And there is... it kind of guides the movie, and there is a severe lack of it. And, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
So, here's the thing. In theory... the Hellraiser franchise is my favorite horror movie franchise because I dig it so much. And I'm talking everyone. I'm talking the originals 1 through 4. I'm talking the bullshits that were like not even Hellraiser movies and they were like just throw Pinhead in for 15 seconds and we're call it Hellraiser and be like, yeah, that dude that died in the beginning of the movie, he opened the puzzle box, but you didn't know that until the last 1 second when Doug's in it for 2 seconds. Whichever one that was, that's my least favorite. So, I want to say, Hellbound Heart, I read when I was, back in high school days. It is probably my favorite short story ever. I think it is a beautiful and amazing short story. Also, I think it's wild that it is a very short story, and you can purchase the Hellbound Heart novel that we have, and it looks like a short novel, but the font is just like 65 point, and it's actually like probably 15 pages long.
That way they could call it a novella.
Yeah, well, that's technically it's a novella. That the book is called it's not. It's a short story. It's a very short story that I love with all my heart and soul. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite things ever. And it has a sequel, The Scarlet Gospels, which is my favorite novel ever. That's like an actual novel. And wildly, I say that. It's kind of wild that I say that. I don't think that many people even know it exists overall. But, like, I really dug the Scarlet Gospels, like, a whole lot. And then I was like, well, like, I've kind of read some Clive Barker stuff, but I haven't read, like, all of Clive Barker's stuff. Oh, my goodness. I'm talking so much. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
This is my favorite franchise, like I said. Scarlet Gospels is amazing. Everyone should read it. It's what Clive Barker intended, according to him, to have happened all along. But then we watched the commentary today. So I don't think I've ever watched a commentary and finished watching the commentary and been like, man, wish I wouldn't have watched that.
Yeah.
I think I've said before, like, the worst commentary I ever heard in my life was the Big Trouble in Little China commentary, where it was just like Kurt Russell and John Carpenter being like, yeah, we made this so long ago. Like, I don't remember anything. What did you do yesterday? Oh, I went and got some Thai food and, like, took my kids to soccer. And it's just like, and then, like, for, like, there's, like, 10-minute spans of time where they just, like, don't even bother to talk or anything. It's the worst commentary in the history of mankind. My favorite top 3, probably 2. Sometimes it's 1. It's always in my top 3 favorite movies of all time. We'll do that one day.
Yeah.
For madness, which we haven't actually managed to do.
No, we have not managed to do a madness yet.
We also still haven't really managed to talk about this movie.
No, we haven't.
That was my point.
That's what, yeah.
I remembered my point here. My point of all my rambling and all my talking good things is I find it impossible to not just talk shit about this movie. But I don't want to because it's one of my favorite movies. Yeah. So be prepared. It is one of my favorite movies, and I love this movie. And I'm pretty much just going to talk shit about it the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's just, like, so much shit to talk.
There is, but...
There's not a lot of good things.
There's the Cenobites. Love the Cenobites.
Yeah. Clive Barker, it's his first movie that he directed. He isn't a good director. He did a terrible job. I love this movie. Like, let's not forget that. And I'm going to say that way too many times. Deb's going to end up having to edit it out.
I'm going to leave it in.
Oh, man. Clive Barker has so many great ideas. I have always felt like Clive Barker would be like my best friend in real life. And I wish he was my best friend so that I could just, like, honestly be like, man, like, did you even try?
I mean, I think he tried, and I think he might have tried a little too hard.
I think
In all honesty.
I think he wrote an amazing, beautiful short story that I absolutely love with all my heart and soul. And then he made a movie that I also love. But it's just like, it's not good. But I love it. I love it.
That being said, Clive Barker did say he took inspiration from Cronenberg
Yeah.
and Argento.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
There's a whole lot of
Giallo and a
yeah.
whole lot of Cronenberg, and there's a whole lot of, man, you just don't know what you're doing.
I think the part that bugged me the most about the commentary is how much he talked about how it was a family saga. And the family saga does I don't give a fuck about the family saga.
Yeah,
I want to see the Cenobites and more and the body horror because those scenes are wonderful.
So I think the biggest thing that's always driven me crazy about the original first Hellraiser that no one ever says, it's just a haunted house movie. That's all it is. It's a haunted house movie. It is a standard, you know what I mean? Like, it's not standard because, like, he's got a lot of great ideas. He's got a lot of cool stuff he throws in. Like, there's a lot of things that aren't your standard haunted house movie, but ultimately, it's like the what's it called? Wilmington, The Conjuring.
Oh.
Like, if The Conjuring would have had Cenobites, like, it's just The Conjuring, but with, like, the coolest monsters in the history of mankind.
I don't think the Cenobites are the real monsters in this, but...
Well, they're not. It's Frank and Julia.
Julia. I hated Julia from the moment I saw her.
Oh, my goodness. We're still not even talking about the movie.
And the first time I watched it, the first time I saw her, she gave me the ick, which means she's probably a great actress. Outside of Hellraiser movies, I haven't seen anything she was in.
I don't think that's true.
I looked.
Did you?
I did.
Really?
Yeah.
She's been in other shit. I don't know. Yeah, anyway, so that's a thing. Julia, I had a friend who swears to God Julia is the most attractive woman that ever lived. I have listened to another podcast where somebody on that podcast, one of my favorite podcasts, I think it was Forever Midnight. I don't remember. It might have been the other one. Pretty sure it was Forever Midnight. One of them was like, no, she's like the hottest chick that ever lived. No.
She does have a seduction to her in this movie as Julia and the Black Widow and her character.
And being a good actress.
And she, yeah, Clive Barker said she had a really dark history and she brought it and accessed it and fed it into her acting, which is even the girl that played Kirsty, Ashley Lawrence, said she antagonized her through the filming and they didn't get along and yeah,
I think she was a great actress. I also think Larry, who's Larry?
Larry is Andrew Robinson.
I think he is the best actor in the film.
He does great with both characters.
Larry and Julia are both like wildly good actors. Like they made some really good casting decisions. So let's start the movie.
Okay.
We're in the Middle East. Middle East. Again, air quotes, I guess. We're maybe India. Maybe Iraq or Afghanistan. It's not clear, but Tibet, yeah, for sure. Maybe Tibet, maybe, I don't know where the fuck they are. Yeah.
Somewhere.
I don't know. It's just like the whole movie. They are somewhere that is neither
here nor
neither America or England. And dude has an accent that sounded Middle Eastern to me. And they're like drinking Turkish coffee.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they have Turkish coffee in China. It could be anywhere. It's a weird, nondescript place where a guy sells you the puzzle box that you always owned to begin with.
He says that.
Yeah, it was like you always owned it. But, like, that doesn't make sense in any following movie. Also, doesn't make sense in the book. Like, you know, compared to the movie, like, that doesn't make any sense at all. So then we got the little scene that is shown, I don't know, 200-300 times of Frank in the little square of candles. They never specify where he's at in any possible way. He's just in a square of candles doing a thing. But I noticed this time, after like my 100th time watching this movie, that his belt is unbuckled in that first scene.
Thanks to the big screen.
Yeah, thanks to the big screen, thanks to seeing it in the theater, I realized that his belt is unbuckled, which like still doesn't really make any sense, but alludes to what actually happened that's in the novel that is left out of the movie because, you know, ratings and stuff, I guess. So, he opens in the novella. He opens the puzzle box, and he is inundated with memories of sexual and all the pleasures of his life. So he begins to masturbate and splooges on the floor. And for whatever reason that even in the novella isn't really quite clear, the fact that he splooged on the floor is what was... It was absorbed into him getting sent to hell and is what was able to bring him back. In the movie, like, they're just like, yeah, fucking whatever. Just fucking deal with it. He can come back. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it too hard because it doesn't make any sense. In the novel, it still doesn't make any sense, but, like, at least there's an explanation on any level for how he's able to come back. Then we've got one of the greatest opening scenes of a movie ever, where it's just like Cenobites, body parts, blood, it's crazy, everything's wild.
Flesh ripping apart.
Which, I think, some movies look so much better because of 4K. And some movies were literally filmed in a way that it was filmed on film and was intended for you to not be able to clearly see what was going on. I think that opening scene suffers a lot from the 4K restoration.
Yeah.
More than anything, like, it all looks kind of, you know, like you're at Spirit Halloween and...
It does. It looks a little hokey.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie.
It looks bad. It looks bad.
The remastered version doesn't look great.
When you were watching it, that part I think is the only part that like really suffers from it, is that opening scene with all the body parts and stuff.
Yeah.
But it wasn't intended to be seen that way. It was intended to be seen on VHS, you know, grainy, and like it was supposed to cover up how kind of hokey a lot of that opening scene looked. I remember watching this when I was a little kid, and the silly putty, the hooks in the silly putty, that was my first thought. I was like, that looks like silly putty. I don't know what they actually used, but like literally it looks like they made a sheet of silly putty and ripped it with hooks.
Probably silly putty.
That looked the same. Yeah, well, it's time for you to talk. What you want to talk about, Deb?
Well, we were Don't put me on the spot
Deb.
like that.
I've never had to.
Okay, so the Cenobites come, and it looks great, and then all of a sudden you're like, they're moving into this house. Frank's dead. Okay, keep going.
All right, so
I will chime in.
So they get to that house. They're in that house that we already talked about that Deb just mentioned. So there's that stained glass flower on the door.
The one.
That
stained
one.
glass
Yeah,
flower.
it's also on every window and every place that you could possibly have anything that's stained glass is all the exact same stained
Yeah.
glass. Make a window in the house a different piece of stained glass with a there's
Well-
like 2 different flowers in the hospital on the TV.
Well, the house was an actual house.
It was.
The house was a house that was for sale. They couldn't do anything to it. They couldn't knock out walls, which is Clive Barker's excuse for there being real bad lighting.
Love you, Clive. I love this
I
movie.
I do too.
That's what I'm saying. I have to say this a million times. I love this movie.
And I still love this movie. So when they're moving into that house, I don't even know if I can say that on the live or the
Yeah,
podcast.
fuck them. Fuck the live.
There was just like a jar of weed.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Which isn't mentioned or talked about and wasn't in the commentary. I looked hard when we were in the movie theater. I couldn't pause it or anything, but it was just like, that's just like a jar of bud. Like, what's happening?
And I was like, well, maybe it's herbs. So I'm going to see where she goes with it. I was looking hard and she goes upstairs with it. She doesn't take it into the kitchen.
It's not mentioned. It's not talking about. There's not a thing I've ever seen or experienced in my life that would be put in a jar that would be anything else.
Yeah, it was just a jar.
Yeah, yeah. It was just a jar of bud. Like,
Yeah.
Why do you have a giant jar of bud? And like,
That's why they see the Cenobites.
well, it's like a Chekhov's weed. You don't introduce weed in the first scene and then like just like put it in an upstairs room and never mention it again.
Yeah.
It's weird. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a British thing that
Tea?
It wasn't tea.
I
It was
don't know.
definitely not tea.
I
I don't know what that could have been other than what it obviously was. That's just like not mentioned, not talked
Yeah,
about.
it's
Just, but they like zoom in on it.
they do.
They're like, what is this? Look at that. You see this? And then like they say a couple things, and then she's like picking up this jar and carrying it like obviously in front of the camera. But we're never gonna mention what this is or why we have a giant jar of weed in our house.
Yeah. That was. She takes it upstairs, and she goes and starts looking through Frank's stuff.
Oh yeah. So
And
little known movie fact. Apparently the chick in the photographs was an actual prostitute that they just like found somewhere and hired to take those photographs.
Yeah.
Who I don't think even knew she was going to be in a movie from what I got out of it.
yeah,
They just like straight up hired a prostitute and was like, let's take some naked pictures. And she was like, all right, you gave me $100. Like, let's do this.
and he said, Clive Barker said all the cameramen were trying to like. He said everybody on set was trying to get into the little tiny room where they were taking pictures to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. That's it. That's it. She's just in those pictures.
I think we're also to the point where she starts having flashbacks that you don't understand are happening. I feel like we're talking a lot of shit about this movie.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to say that in the beginning. Like, there's like, there's not many good things to say about this movie, but I love it.
Yeah.
Like, it's terrible. It's awful, and I don't understand how it's even a classic, a horror classic. I do, because I love it, but like,
The Cenobites, they are iconic.
yeah, there's so many iconic things. Like Frank is Frank is usually Larry. Like,
Yeah.
Frank's not really even in the movie.
Yeah.
Also, good job on that, Clive.
But
Frank's in the movie for like 10 seconds.
I had maybe a total of a minute with all his scenes.
Sex scenes
Yeah.
and like him coming to the wedding and just like why are you trying to marry somebody and you're just like down to fuck? And he's just like the biggest piece of shit that ever lived. And she's just like, give it to me.
And in the commentary, they were acting like he was the love of her life. They kept saying they were in love and they met one time.
There was so much weird stuff in the commentary that just like didn't make any sense. There were points that he was like, in this scene, I needed to make Larry not so likable. And I was just like, I like the fuck out of Larry. He's like the best part of the movie is like Larry's the most lovable, great dude ever. And he's like, but here, I tried to make him look bad. And I was like, he didn't look bad. There's nothing bad about him ever.
And on those lines, he was also talking about he was trying to make people not lose sympathy for Julia. I never had an ounce of sympathy for Julia. She is the evil Black Widow monster.
Yeah, like from the first second you see her, you're just like, she's evil.
Yeah.
Look at that hair and those shoulder pads.
And then he was talking about Larry has all this pent-up aggression. That's why he was watching the boxing. And I was just like, he was just relaxing, watching boxing.
That was a big thing he said. He was like, them watching boxing scene was like to let you know that he's an angry person who's not good. And I was just like, it's just like a dude watching boxing. Like,
it's like,
yeah, like goofy as fuck. Just like, kind of like play boxing and stuff, and it's just like I don't get that he's a bad person from the scene.
Not at all.
But apparently you were supposed to get that he was mean and abusive, even though he's like the nicest, sweetest dude that ever lived that isn't abusive and does nothing wrong.
Oh, we're not there yet. Larry cuts his hand. Sorry, I was swallowing. They're moving the mattress upstairs after the jar of Bud got brought upstairs and she found the prostitute pictures and he is gushing blood. Oh my gosh. You would think his hand was like cut off.
Well,
I mean the hands are very Venus. And he bleeds on the floor and that is what allows Frank to come back.
Yeah, and that's when, for a brief second, it starts off banging as fuck with all the Cenobites, dead shit, everything's crazy. Then we're like 20 minutes in of a family drama.
For a second, there is a great body horror scene with really good practical effects.
And there are some amazing, great effects in this movie.
I loved this scene, and it was a later edition. So after they finished the movie and New Line watched it and liked it, they were like, "Oh, we'll give you more money."
What scene are you talking about?
Frank, when he comes through the floorboards.
Oh yeah. Which really and truly, I don't feel as low budget as this movie was that far off of the, the baseline of the thing.
Yeah.
Like that scene is wild, crazy, gory, really super well done. Like I think Clive Barker said it cost $25,000 to do that scene, which also seems kind of super low.
Yeah, he said they made a deal with Bob Keane, the guy that did the special effects, and he really, really wanted to do it.
Oh, yeah. He kind of like gave him a discount just because he thought it was really cool.
Because he really wanted to do this scene, and I think the movie would have made even less sense without that scene, so I'm glad they gave them more money to do it, because it is great. It is gory, body horror. Yeah, the practical effects are really good. There's like a beating heart. I think it's supposed to be heart. It could be lungs. And he said it was like a plastic bag that the special effects guy was actually blowing into to make it like inflate. He had a little like
straw.
Yeah.
He was just like blowing. And it like, it looks like a plastic bag, but like it's also, it works. It's very cool.
Yeah, I really, really love that scene. They also had a maggot wrangler on set.
Maggot wrangler, yeah.
Who grows up and says they want to be a maggot wrangler?
I imagine that he was a insect wrangler,
Oh,
but they needed maggots for this film, so he was a maggot wrangler on set.
I did read that they also had a roach wrangler because they would not allow there to be male and female roaches so that it wouldn't cause an infestation. So they had to have the wrangler and it had to be all male roaches.
How do you check that?
I don't know. I
don't know, probably
imagine
color or something.
I
maybe.
imagine the insect wrangler knew.
He was an expert on male and female roaches.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was a little known fact that I read today that I was like,
So I think now we are officially at when shit starts getting kind of confusing.
Mm-hmm.
There's flashbacks, there's flash forwards, there's a dream sequence. There's no audio cues. There's no really anything to let you know they're in this like the same room, but they're not. But they clearly are.
And it was funny because during a later scene, during the commentary, Clive Barker was like, "Oh, look, it's another flashback. Oh, wait. No, it wasn't. That's happening." And I was like,
He doesn't even know. The director of the
doesn't
movie
even know.
didn't even know it was a flashback and what wasn't. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, some cues would have been good.
Yeah. So I think I love this movie.
I do too.
I love this movie. I think some audio cues or some, anything that made you be able to differentiate between flashbacks and which Deb pointed out that I didn't even realize. I guess her hair is different in the flashback scenes.
Slightly. Ever so slightly.
It's so slightly different that like we watched it twice in the last 24 hours and I didn't realize that her hair was different. Because it just looks exactly the same.
So she has like a short hair, and then in the flashback scenes, she has like a mullet. But it's ever so slight. It's just like a slight difference. And
yeah, well, I mean, you can just be like, yeah, Frank's there. So it's a flashback. But like also, like if it's your first time watching this movie, which I very distinctly remember my first time watching this movie, I get it now. Like I understand now. But like the first time watching this, you're just like, what in the fuck is happening? Like, who is this guy? They're fucking... But they're in, like, the same room, but they're not, but they are. And, like, what in the world is happening?
yeah.
And then we got the dream sequence with the feathers and stuff that could have just not been in the movie.
Yeah, it is a pretty scene.
It is. It's
pretty.
a cool scene. It looks pretty. Also, it could have just not been in the movie, and nothing would be different at all other than them not making the time for the length that the movie needed to be.
Well, and it's one of his Argento homages, and he wants those in there. And
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It didn't need to be there. So I feel like this is in my notes here at this point. So the more we critically watch movies and like watch them with intent to talk about them, the more I get confused about the movies that I love. If you would have asked me 6 months ago, which one's better? Nightmare on Elm Street 4 or the original Hellraiser, I would have laughed and been like, that's the stupid... Hellraiser is a fucking amazing movie and I love it. But now, after critically watching them both... I think Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is actually a way better movie. Which is insane to me because I still, even after feeling this way and watching these movies critically, I'm going to say Hellraiser every day, every night. I'm absolutely, without question, going to say Hellraiser. But critically watching them, Nightmare on Elm Street 4... which, like, no one gives a shit about, is a way better movie. Of the dinner scene.
the dinner scene. Well, Julia's such a bitch in that scene.
Oh, well, yeah, so that's kind of the I get it. I get it. She is perturbed about her thoughts of Frank, and all she can do is think about Frank for like no actual reason. Like, like it doesn't, like, I know there's all the flashbacks and there's all the things, but like she had sex with the dude one fucking time. So like a day later, she can't get him out of his mind, and that's the point. I get that. I get that's the drive of the plot line, but like also come the fuck on. That is so non-realistic. That is ridiculous. And then she's like, I have a headache. I have to leave. And everybody's just like, all right, bitch, bye. Like
But
somebody says don't leave, and she's just like, nope, I'm leaving. And everybody's just like, all right, cool.
She doesn't even know he's come back yet.
Yeah, right. She doesn't even, like, yeah.
He's like,
she just saw those pictures of the prostitute, and it's just like, the next day is just like, I can't function in the world. That's bad. It doesn't make sense.
It's crazy because they've been married for I don't know how long. I think they've been married for a while.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't actually say, but I assume like
And she's
probably like a bunch of years.
Yeah. And she all of a sudden she saw one picture of some dude she banged one time and was like, I hate my husband now that I've been married to for 20 years. Maybe she's hated him ever since she banged his brother that one time. Also, you could do better. You could do better, Larry.
So,
you could do better.
I think he could. I think he seemed to be a wonderful, super rich guy.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a missed thing in the movie. I think that Larry was supposed to be an abusive billionaire that you wouldn't want to be married to. But in the movie, he's a wonderful husband and wonderful father who does nothing wrong at all and is super rich. Like, he's like the perfect dude. Like, and like Clive Barker seemed to be trying to insinuate with the boxing on TV that he wasn't, but nothing in the movie ever insinuates in any possible way that a human could watch and get from it that he wasn't just like a cute, cool, dumb dude that was really rich and like doing great in life and seemed to be very loving, and like even the weird sex scene between them, which is back where you were trying to talk about with Frank in the closet and stuff. Yeah. Like, I mean, seriously, like, I'm not saying anything bad here, but like, if me and Deb are in the garage,
we're getting racy,
right? And Deb like starts making out with me like hardcore, and I'm like, is like, let's go to the bedroom. I'm gonna be like, all right, let's do this. I would have stopped way before he did, because shit got rapey.
Yeah,
it did.
It did. Scene was uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable and not.
And it was disjointed, and it like no one is ever like. Shit's rapey as fuck in the movie. I don't know what to think about it. And Clive Barker didn't say shit about it in the commentary.
Well, he mentioned that as one of Larry's bad traits. That's what brought it up, was when they were talking about Larry and his repressed anger, they move straight into that scene and start talking about it. And that's when we were kind of like, what?
But like the whole scene is just like, what is even happening?
Yeah,
like,
it's a weird scene.
There is a monster in the room, and there is a bad thing happening. But all three of those things don't seem to have anything to do with each other in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like very poorly done. It's super crazy poorly done.
And then he skins that rat.
Oh, yeah, and then there's like, what? What is that?
And apparently they had to take that rat to the vet's office. It's not a real rat, and prove that it was a mechanical rat.
No, it wasn't a vet office.
Oh,
it was
that's
the
the MPAA.
well, but it was the British.
Yeah.
He had to take it. They had to take it to like the British film people and prove that it wasn't a real rat.
Yeah.
And also like. Yeah, it's not bad looking.
No, the
like,
rat looked kind of good.
It's not a real rat. Also, that's like the weirdest, most confusing, doesn't make any sense scene ever.
We could have done without that scene.
I've seen a lot of scenes that don't make sense.
The scene didn't need to be there. They could have cut it off.
They could have also made him look bad at any other point ever because, like, right after that, he's just back to being...
Yeah, he was a very he was like what's going on? Yeah. Like, I'm so sorry. What's going on?
Right. Like, I don't know what's happening there. I guess if any scene in this movie couldn't be made, it would be that scene. Yeah. But I think it would mostly just be because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Then after that, she goes back to killing dudes. She's just killing dudes in the attic. Yeah, just make dudes. It. We haven't even talked about how Frank's coming back to life. Everybody's seen this. So she's just Julia's just killing dudes left and right. Because every time she kills a dude, he sucks out their body parts with his fingers. I don't know. That was weird to me. I didn't.
So I think it's only the third dude, Mr. Badass. The chubby guy is the last dude that they show him putting his fingers in the back of the neck. But I think the first two guys, he just says, "Don't look at me," and she leaves the room, and they don't show what's happening. Oh, my God. We're talking about dudes getting killed.
Yes.
So, if we have a room in our attic that is there because there's a demon monster, unskinned creature, and I am bringing them to kill people, why would I hang the hammer on the other side of the room and not just like next to the door and close the door and then immediately hit him in the head with the hammer? Especially like the third time. At some point I'd be like, you know what would be really convenient? I'm going to move this hammer over by this door and not need to walk across the room to get this hammer. Like it could just be next to the door. They walk in. Bam! But that third dude gets rocked in the skull, and he's just like, bitch, what the fuck? First two guys, just like hitting the head, dead. Third dude, old chubby dude, that's my boy. He's just like, bitch, I ain't even want to be here, and you just hit me in the head with a hammer? And she's like, you getting eaten by a demon. And he was like, what the fuck? There's a demon! And you just fucking nailed me in the noggin with a fucking hammer.
He didn't even die before Frank dug his fingers into the back of his neck.
Kirsty's up the stairs. He's fucking trying to escape. That dude's a badass.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
so we see no less. I think there's 2 hits to the head.
Yeah.
That you see. And then he's still alive. Frank's fucking fingers in the back of his skull, and he's like, help me. Those first 2 dudes are just like, you knocked me with a hammer, dead, DD.
So Kirsty walks in and finds Frank, and he's so creepy towards her, and
he's just a fucking piece of shit.
He is the worst.
Everything he does and says... He is like, how there's nothing romantic. I don't know how he's not ugly. I don't think he's the hottest creature that's ever walked the planet Earth. Like, he's not. I don't know who would be, but it sure is fucking Frank.
I am gonna pick the silly, goofy, slightly less attractive. I'm not talking about you. Slightly less attractive brother over the dickhead. Slightly more attractive brother. I mean, I'm gonna pick the decent human every time, and she's just like, nah. You want me to kill for you?
Done.
Done.
I barely know you. I met you for 15 minutes in my life. I need to murder people. Let's do this.
That dick must have been real good.
Well, so that is the question. What was that dick? He had to have had a motherfucking schlong.
She's just like, fuck my
She's
whole
just like,
life.
yeah, I'll murder people. I will fucking destroy my life. I will fucking anything on earth for this dick. Is it just like made out of, what is it?
Gold?
Nacho cheese?
Nacho cheese.
Baby Frank has a nacho cheese dick. And it's just like delicious, and she really likes fucking tortillas.
I mean, that might get me.
Right. Yeah, that's where I was going. I was
Fucking
like, yeah.
love nachos.
If some dude showed up with a nacho cheese dick, that would leave me in a heartbeat. I'd never see her again. Ever. She'd be like, she'd tell me the truth. She'd be like, yeah, this dude got a nacho cheese dick. I'll see you later. I'd be like, I understand.
Yeah, no. Frank is a piece of shit. Yeah. And Julia's
with
just like...
piece of shit with a nacho cheese dick.
Julia's just like, fuck my whole life. And she gets caught. And Frank's still a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And Kirsty's kind of a badass. She's like, nah, fuck you, Uncle Frank. And throws that puzzle box out the window.
Oh, yeah.
She don't even know what it is. She's like, oh, you want this?
Which,
you like this? You love this? Go fucking get it.
Anyway, she played softball in 3rd grade. Or something like that. So, she chunked it out window well on the first take. Thank God. For softball.
And she grabs it and she runs down the street. And she runs into 2 nuns. They never come back.
Oh, yeah.
But Clive Barker was like, they have to be in the movie.
Yeah, also, they're not like, hey, bloody little girl running down the street, you should let us help you. They're just like, what's this weird-ass bitch doing?
Yeah, they're like,
and
fuck
just keep
you.
on walking.
Yeah,
Again, I don't know. Clive Barker said that the French critics would love that.
Yeah.
Zero clue what that was supposed to mean. Zero fucking clue what he meant by that.
She wakes up in the hospital, and that's the scene with the flower. It's pretty. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's entering the 3rd act of the movie.
Yes.
So, like, years ago, I watched a thing about this. It was like just like a YouTube video, just like a fan YouTube video. But I think they had like talked to some people, maybe even Clive Barker, and was like, they were going deep on what the meaning was and stuff, that Clive Barker like just like, yeah, that flower looked pretty. Also, guess what? Could have just not been there. Like, you could cut 45 minutes out of the middle of this movie and everyone would like it more.
But babe, it's a family saga.
It's a family saga, apparently,
and it's
not a haunted house movie.
It is a family saga, and that is the point of it. Which,
yeah, nobody wants to see a family.
He did say he was trying to do something different. He didn't want to do another slasher or another. He kept calling jump scares booze.
Oh, yeah.
And it was fun. It took me a minute. It took us both a minute to figure out where, like, booze.
Yeah, apparently in the other side of the pond, a jump scare is called a boo.
Yeah. So she's in the mental hospital. She opens up the box, and a door to hell opens. Goodness, that was loud.
Sorry.
It's okay. And she starts, if I'm fucking with this puzzle box that the skinless demon in my attic wanted, and it opened up a door in a mental hospital, I'm not going down that fucking hallway.
Yeah, zero chance.
Not gonna fucking happen.
No.
I'm not gonna be like, oh,
like, hey.
what's there? But I want to talk about the monster.
The engineer.
And
He makes the labyrinth.
so the engineer was mounted on a rolling podium in a 15-foot hallway, and he was 7 feet tall. She said he took up 7 feet of it.
Oh.
and he was just being pushed down the hallway by special effects guys on a rolling podium, and they were
trying to hide.
And they were just running in place. And Clive Barker was like, you need to bounce more so it looks like you're running. Because they were just running in place in this little tiny hallway. The Cenobites really make this movie. And Doug Bradley does. Like, his presence is really felt. And they're the best part in why this movie is a classic.
That's the thing I wanted to talk about earlier, was when we met Doug.
Oh, we'll get... I've been waiting for.
So... We were at Days of the Dead Atlanta, and our friend Laura, that you've heard us talk about before, had given me an autograph of Doug Bradley. I am a huge Hellraiser fan, no matter how much it sounds like I'm not. I'm an enormous Hellraiser fan. So all the Cenobites, like literally, like it was wild. Like everybody was there. There were so many Cenobites there. It was insane. So I was like, well, I want to get a personalized autograph from Doug, because like I have my autograph that Laura gave me, and that's one of my prized possessions. And I was like, yeah, so let's like go get a personalized thing by him. So we walk up, and I have heard so many good stories about people meeting Doug. I've never heard a bad thing. So let me be clear. He did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. I walked up, and I was like, hey, man, amazing to meet you. I have a couple autographs by you, but I always wanted a personalized one. And he was like, cool. It's like $80. And I was like, because I wanted a selfie with him too. And I was like, yeah, dude, absolutely. You know, here's the money. And he was like, what do you want me to sign? So like, I got this black and white pinhead picture, and he signed it in a gold pen. And it is the most beautiful autograph that I have, without question. No question. It is a beautiful autograph. And I was like, yeah, man, I just wanted a personalized autograph to Dana. And he was like, to Dana? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, cool. And he signed it with just his name. And he was like, come here so we can take the picture. So I sat down next to him, and we took a picture, and he was like, cool, see you later. He didn't do anything wrong.
No,
But we have gone to a lot of conventions and had a lot of autographs and done a lot of things, and the most soulless autograph I could have ever imagined was Doug. Like he wasn't mean, he wasn't bad, he was perfectly fine. He did not give a shit that he was there. He did not give a shit that I was a fan. He just wanted his money and for me to get the fuck on.
It was the end of the day, though.
And I was just like, well, that's not what I was expecting from you. I don't know. Maybe he had a bad day. I'm not trying to say anything bad about him or anything. But, like, it was... Yeah, it was the least good autograph I've ever gotten from anyone.
Yeah.
I've never had a bad experience, ever. And it was the worst. Oh, I think we're about here.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part. I still want to say, too. So the part where Jesus falls out of the closet for the jump scare, the Jesus statue. What a missed opportunity for Kirsty to not say, Jesus Christ!
She said it in the commentary. Oh, no.
I know. No, not quite. But, like, yeah, that would have been, like, the best scene in a movie ever for that to happen and her go, Jesus Christ!
In the commentary, when they kept talking about Julia and Frank and the love of their lives, he just stabs the fuck out of her. And...
Well, he was trying to stab Kirsty. He missed.
I always took it as a betrayal because of what he said. I don't remember the exact line he said, but it led me to believe that he intentionally stabbed Julia, and he was just using her to get all the dudes And
Well, I mean, sure, all that makes sense, but like he literally lunges at Kirsty and she jumps out of the way and he stabs Julia.
okay.
Also, it's not
Yeah.
directed or filmed well, so
yeah.
it's confusing as fuck. But whichever way that stab was supposed to go isn't clear or done right.
Well, Kirsty continues to be a badass, and they kept saying her boyfriend in the commentary. The dude she met 2 days before
I don't even think it was 2 days. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
Her boyfriend that is just some random guy who was at her house yesterday.
Yeah. What a doofus he was.
Oh, man. So this is one of my... I didn't mention this to you. I don't know if you caught it. So Julia gets stabbed, all this is happening, the Cenobites are back, right?
Yes.
Chatter is under a random tarp.
The veil.
Purposely cut. It's a plastic tarp. Who said it was a veil?
I thought it was a veil because it was all clear, and I was
It's
like...
a plastic fucking tarp. So did he slapstick fall over and like accidentally wrap himself in a tarp? Did a demon that looks like a demon be like, it'd be a little bit scarier if I put this tarp over my head? Why the fuck does he have a tarp over him for no fucking reason?
I thought that Clive Barker was trying to do some more Argento shit and was like a veil.
So maybe he was trying to do some Argento shit, but Chatter is just under a plastic tarp for no apparent reason at all. It's like Michael Myers when he's got the sheet and the glasses. Like, why did you do that, dude? Why did you put a sheet to boo scare somebody for no Why? So, like, I would like to think he was walking across the living room and they just moved into the house, right? Mm-hmm. And like Dick Van Dyke shit, like he tripped over the ottoman and was like, oh my God. He got up and accidentally wrapped a tarp around himself and then was like, fuck me, I gotta be scary. I got this shit. What up, Kirsty? What up, Kirsty? Anyway, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, the Cenobites come. She trips over her skinless father.
Yep, upstairs after she gets chased by the tarp demon.
And attacked by Jesus. And maggots.
Yeah, maggots. Yes,
and
maggots were harmed in the filming of this movie. I don't think they're covered by any laws.
She decides. Also, how does everybody just know what to do with the box?
No, it just instantly. They're all just like, yeah,
she picks it up and
she's like, yeah.
Just start sending Cenobites back to hell.
Yeah. And there's no reason for her to even think that that's a thing still. Even at the end of the movie, there is zero reason for her to assume she could do something with the weird wooden box.
So I am glad to know why it looked so terrible when the Cenobites got sent back to hell. So apparently New Line was refused to pay for more effects. So when she's messing with the box and sending the Cenobites back to hell, it's Clive Barker and, in his words, some Greek guy he met.
Oh yeah, some Greek guy
animated it by hand in the dude's house.
So this was one of my biggest takeaways from that. There is some dude in Greece who is going to the bar every night of his life, and he's like, yeah, man, I fucking worked on Hellraiser. And everybody's like, dude, shut the fuck up. No, you didn't. And he's like, yeah, I did. I can prove it. It's in the commentary. He says he did it with some Greek guy.
So they were talking in the commentary about how they couldn't really burn the house down. At the end, they had to symbolically do. So they take the box under a bridge. Why is there just shit burning under a bridge?
Yeah, so
back on track here.
So we've left out the homeless guy.
Oh yeah.
Who appears multiple times throughout the movie for no fucking reason. He doesn't matter. He's not in the book. There's no point in him. He doesn't do anything. He serves zero purpose.
And he's not Clive Barker.
Yeah, like, why? He's not in the second, in any other movie. I think he is. In one of the other movies, there's the pterodactyl skeleton.
So the only thing I can think of is they had to find a way to make a second. And if they burned the box, they couldn't. So the weird homeless...
The box wasn't going to burn. Also, they're like, Deb was immediately like, why is that chair on fire? Oh, it's their house. And I was like, they're not at their house.
Yeah.
They're under that bridge from earlier. And there's just like shit on fire everywhere for absolutely no fucking reason at all.
Yeah.
Like, why are there burning chairs? But like, if there was a burning chair, you know, we're in a city. We're in New York City.
New York City.
I guess, where they make salsa.
Pace picante. No, not pace.
Yeah, not pace.
Not
It's
pace.
where they make all other salsas, though, is New York City.
We're not sponsored.
And they they just, like, if you go to New York City, is there just like 30 random chairs burning under every bridge?
There are some wild choices made.
Yeah, and then there's the pterodactyl bone
Monster,
demon
pterodactyl.
who's not a Cenobite. He's just a monster dinosaur demon creature that I guess brings the box back to Asia, Middle East, wherever the fuck that happened at. To anyway, I still love this movie.
I will always and forever hold this movie close to my heart. I love the feel.
I love this movie. With
The
whole
aesthetic.
paper
The Cenobites make this movie. Doug Bradley makes this movie.
I don't understand why I love it or why anyone gives a fuck that this movie exists. It is a boring, poorly made movie with 5 minutes of cool shit.
And I will forever love it.
I will too. Yeah, I love it. Thank you all for joining us. I love you, motherfuckers, and good night.